Good afternoon, good evening. It is later in the evening, and I come to you today, yes, to show somewhat of a fashion show. Well, not really a fashion show, but to show my garments for today. Um, and I'm showing you the garments because tonight I want to talk about. Really, it's a call for action. I've titled this message "A Call to the New Black History" because there is a need for um, Black people to do a lot more now. We're in a different age and time. History has already been historicalized, it's been memorialized, it's in the history books, and now we're embarking on new histories. Um, and we need new leaders. We need new people who are going to take up the mantle, what have you, and do things. And you do not have to be Black to be a part of Black history. And I say that because um, when people who are not Black are in the fight, yes, they are our allies. They go down in history as well. They are the change makers who see their part that they can play. And I bring this up now because today I had a chance to sit in a luncheon by Color of Change, hosted by Color of Change. And it is a very amazing organization. They had several online events, and I had a chance to actually attend a award ceremony where I sat in the room where there were at least, I want to say, 10 people were awarded for being game changers in the state of North Carolina. And I am happy to say that out of the 10, actually it was like 11 because that was a surprise uh, awardee. Out of the 11, I personally knew three of them and had worked with another. And it inspired me to keep doing the work that I do, keep using this platform to help um, change the lives of those who watch, change the lives of people who share. For if you don't know me personally, let me give you a little background of some of the things that I do. I don't just get up here and I talk. Um, I'm in the public. I help a lot of people find housing. I help a lot of people try to find jobs. I help a lot of people try to work on their mental health. I help a lot of people in school. I help people who were recently diagnosed with something, and I help them find resources. And one of the people that was awarded is somebody that I grew up with. Um, and when I say grew up with, I'm meaning someone who was a part of my immediate community who instilled what it is and the purpose of giving back to the community. I've helped her with campaigns and her campaigns to be exact. And in that, I found it liberating. I found it educational that here I am sitting at the same table as those who came before me, and I am seeing the great work. There's a lot of stuff that I do that um, I don't really publicize because, like I said earlier, it's usually a one-on-one case, and I don't do it for glorification. I do it because I have the knowledge, the will to, the want to. I am connected to the resources, so why not give back to my community? But there is a call because I can't do this thing alone. We all can't do any of these things alone. We need our brothers, we need our sisters to help, to step in. And I know many people are probably wondering, why does this guy have on this leather jacket? Well, that's because I am Afro Indigenous. Um, if you don't know what that is, look it up. Um, and so, even in that arena, there is a call for unification of Black people and Indigenous people, because it's we're looked at as the monolith, as a unicorn, as something fictitious. But we're here as well. We're in the struggle, as some people call it. Some people also call it the fight. But there is a call for more. One of the things that the color change was addressing was the fact that across the United States that they're trying to erase Black history. And we know that in order for someone to become empowered, you must know where you came from. You must know the shoulders that you stand on. You must know the people that came before you, not only in your family, but those that have made impact for your family. And I found it bothersome because there's no mention of getting rid of American history. I know several people who would say history was not one of their favorite classes and they didn't understand the need to have it in the first place. So my plight is, if you're going to get rid of Black history, let's get rid of all history. Why must it be just Black history? Now, I love history. Don't get me wrong. I love history. I love being factual. I love knowledge. I love things from the past. I love going to antique stores just to see where we have come from. And in that, you learn, you see the things that you may have seen when you were a kid, right? And you have that feeling of nostalgia. I can't say that word right now for whatever reason, but anyway, um, you know. And so when you go to places like that and you understand that this is where I came from, this is my childhood, you reflect on what you was doing at that age, and then now you look at yourself and you see how much you have grown. That's what history does for us all. And the fact that they are trying to get rid of Black history is yet a problem. Because, and it's not just Black history, because you have to understand, when you're talking about getting rid of Black history, that means you want to get rid of the fact that your ancestors held people as slaves. You want to paint the picture that you have always treated everybody who does not look like you well and fine, and that is not the case. You want to paint this picture that you have always lended a helping hand and always been a person of a people of unity, and we know that is not the case. Um, what you're also doing is erasing the fact that many families were broken. And to give you all an example, my family, my paternal family, um, we are still finding family members in other states. We're trying to piece together where our ancestors originally came from. To paint another picture, I am in 3 different family groups, all of us with the same last name. Oh, And we're black, we're white, we're Hispanic, and we're Native American. Yeah, that's true. And we're all trying to piece together where our origins are. And when I say we're all over the place, the my immediate family members are in Georgia and Florida, and we know that we have family members that lived in New York, where I found them, only to find out that we also have multiple family members in Ohio, Illinois, finding out that we have family members in California. And so when you say that you want to erase history, you're erasing the fact that you have split up a family who is now, I would say, 100, a little over 100 years plus, still picking up the pieces for the damage that you have done because you want to create this picture that everything is all nice and well in the United States. The United States have always had this twisted way of saying we are united and we're here for the people, and we know that it's not true. Again, if you're just joining, I was telling everyone earlier that I work trying to find people housing. That is one of the biggest issues in America, is finding housing, finding affordable housing, getting people housed. And these are not the people that are couch surfing. These are not the people, these are not the families that are couch surfing, because we do know that sometimes families will move into other families' household to have a roof over their head. There's a lack of resources. There's a land shortage. Um, we're seeing the high rise of apartment buildings and apartment companies, complexes, um, who charge higher rent every year, but there's no new amenities. Make that make sense. Um, they buy the land, so it's not like they're leasing the land. So where's this extra money going? We need people to start addressing these wherever you are watching. And I know oftentimes some of my videos make it across seas to other countries. And I want them to know that America, yes, it's the dream, that American dream that they see on TV is fictitious. There's no dream. You live and work and pray that God will make changes for you and work on your behalf. And many times people come here from other countries thinking, oh, it's going to be easier, and they find out that it's not. And what I'm asking and everyone to do is, with this new Black history, we need to stop. We need to tell our brothers and sisters in those other countries, if you have the chance to meet them, it is not what you see on TV. This is the reality. And what is happening is that people are running away from their realities. And we see that with mental health. People don't want to recognize that they have a mental health problem. Thanks, brother. People don't want to recognize that they have mental health problems. And so what they do, instead of running towards their help, they're rather turn around and just go backwards. They'll rather just accept their stupor, their fate, that a lot of people call it their fate. This is the situation that I'm in. I'll just rather sit in my situation. And that is not what we need to do. If you know that you want to do better, do better. Love on yourself. And that's the other thing, we have to start loving ourselves to the point that we recognize what is not working for us. Yes, it may be hard. And yes, you may need to ask someone for help, but do it. because I would rather ask someone for help than to keep struggling with the same issue over and over and over and over again and walking in circles and getting nowhere. That is not what we have to do. That's not what we should do. And that's what Black history teaches us. Black history taught us that yes, it's okay to do protests. Yes, it's okay to do marches. Yes, it's okay to be peaceful at times. But yes, it's also okay to get rowdy at times. Because when they want to turn a blind eye and close their ears, it gets to a point where when we're too much in your face and we are too loud, it is impossible for you to ignore us. And if we want to go scripturally, God inhabits the praises of his people, right? That means that there is some sort of noise, there is some sort of attention making that people do to get God's attention so that he can shower down the blessings. So when you have to make noise and get in good trouble, as my fraternity brothers love to say from my dear brother, you know, when you make that type of noise, when you get into that good trouble, things happen, things change. And it may not be immediate change, but it's changed nonetheless. And one thing that one of the representatives that got awarded today said, you don't have to be in everything, but pick one topic that is near and dear to you and keep working. And for me, that it when she said that, I started reflecting on the work that I've done. I've done I've been in the HIV field since I was 14 years of age. I am now 37 years old. And when you do the math, that's over 20 years of experience working with people with HIV, working with HIV agencies, working with the state, working with medical doctors, working with people who were diagnosed with HIV or AIDS. And sometimes some of them were diagnosed in the 80s and they are still here. We call them our long term survivors. And, you know, you learn a lot. And in the HIV field, I've learned a lot dealing in the health field. So, of course, my focus is dealing with health. Why are you dealing with housing, you may ask? You may not have asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Because health and housing, there's a correlation, excuse me. And housing is health because you can't properly take your medications, you can't properly rest, you can't properly bathe unless you have an adequate roof over your head. And you're not peaceful when you're living or at peace when you're living in a shelter. Some people are, most people aren't. And I know this because in one of my jobs, I used to go to the shelter all the time. And I would see people there. And I even saw someone that I knew there. And a lot of people are there and they say, this is only temporary for me. I am trying to get out of here. I want to get out of here. I want to do right by my family because many of them had families there. It wasn't just them. And when you think about that, nobody wants to be in an uncomfortable position because uncomfortability means that I have to move forward until I can be comfortable. And that's what many of the people wanted to do is just be comfortable. And so there are certain things that people do out of wanting to be comfortable where they realize that they have to go past themselves and do things that they've never done before. They have to talk to people that they've never talked to before. And you have to make those strives. That is the only way that you can properly advocate for yourself, is to get out of your comfort zone. If something is making you uncomfortable, make it known. And I don't care who it's to. And if they can't see the problem or come up with the solution, or try to sit down and compromise with you, and when I say compromise, I mean compromise to your terms of how you can be comfortable and still be in this position, if it's a job or whatever, what have you, you know, if they can't make you comfortable, then yes, you have to get uncomfortable by leaving and jumping into your faith and letting your faith push you to what is meant for you. A lot of times I talk about faith, I talk about redirection, and that's what it is. If it's something is becoming too unbearable for you, jump off ship and go to where God is really wanting you to go. No many how many times I try to step away from HIV, I always find myself doing something in the world of HIV. At this point, I've just realized and come to terms that it is a calling that I have far above me, far above what any man could think or say. I am in this world to utilize the platform of HIV and make some world life changes for the people around it, whether you're living with HIV or not. That is another reason why my program is called Healing in the Veins. Is because we have this opportunity to do things greater than ourselves. But first we have to first heal ourselves. We have to heal internally so that we can be fit externally to do the work that God would have us to do. And so yes, there is a call of action for a lot of people, because I do believe that over the last 2 years that there's been a lot of people waking up to how they should heal, why they should heal, and what tools they need to do to heal. And when you get to that point in your life where you know the why and the how and what tools to use, you now need to apply it to your life so that when you make these true changes, that you can become a catalyst of change for those around you. And I've said this multiple times in past videos, and this is what I mean. And now it's and it's a lot of people that watch my videos. I know some of you tell me, some of you don't, and that's fine. But I now ask you to, if you are in the habit of actually doing things and making changes, I ask that you use your platform to start actually making changes. If you know that you are in your healing process right now, continue so that when you get to the end of your healing, that you can now start to help others heal. There's always a reason why you go through the things that you go through. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, this is what the church say, I didn't go through this thing just for myself. I went through this for everybody else. That is true. That is another reason why we can't erase Black history. Because when you're talking about erasing Black history, we're talking about erasing Black testimonies of how we came over, how we got through. And I think I said this in my last video, but I'm gonna say it again. To realize that my great grandfather, not my great, my great grandfather, my grandfather's father, was born a slave, and at 9 years old was around when uh, slavery was emancipated. But we know what that all looked like. That amazed me. I said, I am literally 2 generations away from slavery. two generations of family members away from slavery. And I'm only 37 years old. Think about that. And I know some people probably say, well, wow, I'm 4 or 5 years. I'm only three generations away from slavery. That means whatever happened, whatever stories I'm told about my family, I have to now put it in the context that some of them were still dealing with the effects of slavery. And to say that you just want to uproot it and get rid of it as if it never existed is very problematic. And then, if we want to talk about equity, having everybody have equal seats at the table, we must address that we've not had an equitable race at all. And that is why, even today, as the third generation away from slavery, some of my peers and colleagues that have multiple degrees, that are working for higher learning institutions and sometimes multi-billion dollar corporations, are still trying to get the correct pay that is owed to us. It's all right to say that you work for a high-end company, but if they're not paying you your worth, then you're just sitting there, um, getting paid less than your worth while you're helping to increase the dollars as a multi-billion dollar company. And I do know that there are several people that I know that have opened up their own businesses, and I love it. I have people that I went to college with that has their own businesses, and I tell people all the time, and people that I grew up with as kids, I see them and I make sure that anytime that they talk about their business, I love it. That is me pouring my love onto them because I knew where we came from. I know their backgrounds. I know some of the struggles that they went through, and I know that that is their platform to which they stand on. I know that that was their dream that they got off the ground. I literally celebrate everyone. If I were to find out that someone that I will say that we're at odds made it and is doing well, I'll be there too. I promise you, I will be there. And I will celebrate them just as hard as if that was my best friend. Why? Because we need to start loving and supporting each other like never before. And actually, I'm not even going to say like never before because it was there, but then somehow we got too laxed and lackadaisical. And now I'm not going to say we're almost where we were before, but it's beginning to become a landslide where things are falling out of place. And before things fall completely out of place, there are some of us that are still standing on our platforms and are yelling at with the top of our lungs. Not at, but with the top of our lungs, that we still have work to do. And so I applaud everyone that is doing something that is creating change, equitable change on any platform, whether it's prison reform, whether it's housing, whether it's health, whether it's education, and these are just the big post platforms, right? Because we know that there are multiple platforms out there. We know that there are multiple things that are happening in our society and in our world. But if you're doing something to help that change, thank you. Not all of us get appraised openly. Not all of us get pats on our back. Some of us, um, go to bed or attempt to go to bed because our mind's still working even when we go to sleep and we don't get proper rest. But one thing I have learned is that by taking care of yourself is actually doing the work too. Because if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't get your proper rest, if you're not eating correctly, if you don't drink your water, if you don't take your vitamins, if you don't go to the doctor like you're supposed to and get your annual checkups to see what's going on with you, then you're going to keep running until you hit that brick wall and can't run no more. And then who's going to pick up the mantle if you haven't had the chance to train up that generation or that person that's going to take your place when you decide to rest? And I'm not talking about sleeping rest. I mean, rest in peace, rest. So even if you were training up one or two people in your neighborhood, somebody's kids in your neighborhood, giving them historical lessons, taking them to places where they can have hands-on training with some sort of a skill set, whether it's taking them to help um, sharpen their natural gifts and talents. That's all pouring back. That's all giving them a platform to stand on so that when they do get to racial justice, that they can use their platforms appropriately. I don't know how many people have watched oh gosh, the Kaepernick story on Netflix. Um, I'm trying to think of, I want to say it's Grown Up Kaepernick. Uh, I think it's Grown Up. No, watch colon in black and white. That's it. Colon in black and white. Colon in black and white. Excuse me. Um, it talks a lot about his growing up and some of the microaggressions that he had to endure as a kid. Well, we don't know what most of these children are going through. We don't know what they are enduring in school. But what we do know is that some type of label has been placed on a child at some point, good or bad. And that is one reason why I have a problem with labels and titles. Because at that point, when you have been titled or labeled something, that's all people will see you as in that box. They don't get a chance to see the rest of you. All they'll know you as is that one thing. And they'll make judgments and control your life or try to control your life based off of what they know in that box. And that's why I'm always telling people to take God out of the box, because God is so much more than what you imagine in that box. And He's also created us all to be a people that are not living in boxes. I'm hearing something and I want to make sure I quote it right. Yes, so it's John 8 and 36. And it says, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And we know that the Son, being Jesus Christ, is in the spiritual realm. So, and we know that He is also spirit and God, three in one, the Trinity. So if the Spirit sets you free, you will be free indeed. And if the Spirit sets you free, because the Spirit is free, then why must we live in a box that keeps us bound and trapped within invisible lines. That's almost like you training, you keep, you're caging up. If anyone has ever seen a dog that has been caged and caged, or not even just a dog, an animal that has been caged and caged and caged. And then when you, so much so that when you take that animal out of the cage, all they know is the cage. So they go right back into the cage because they don't know what freedom is. That's how we live our lives. And that's how many institutions and governing bodies have trained the people of the United States. They've trained a lot of people to become in boxes. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, the government is controlling me and they're doing this and they're doing that. And a lot of people write them off as crazy, but there's some truth to the cray cray. Because when you have been trained and you have been molded and shaped to go after boxes, to chase the things within a box, that's all you know. And it's not until you step outside of that box that you see the world differently. There's so many things that some people call unorthodox. And then I always question, I'm the one that always become the devil's advocate and say, well, what's unorthodox? Who said it was unorthodox? Is someone believed that it was unorthodox, and so they told someone else who told someone else who told someone else, and now everybody is hollering that this is unorthodox. But is it unorthodox or is it out the box? We know that in the past, religion was used to hold people captive. And to this day, people still try to use religion to hold people captive. People try to use religion to control people. But again, I must say, for the umpteenth time, that control is also a witchcraft tool. So if you're using the scriptures in your church or what have you, or if you know someone who does this, they're using the scriptures in a way, by way of witchcraft, plain and simple. And all witchcraft is meaning that you would do something um, by your will and not the will of spirit or the spirit of God. But that's what America has done. America has done this. And a lot of people will try to say that that's not the case. And if that's not the case, why are you trying to erase history? We always know that historical things are told by the successors. We have facts and information because somebody has written it down. But you also must remember that it is a matter of perspective. And prime example is I work in a very, very, very tall building. So my perspective of what my area looks like on the ground level, and I mean like not first floor, but truly the ground level, is different than when I'm on the eighth floor of this building. Because now I have a different view and I could say, oh, the city look wonderful. I could see all across the tops of many other buildings. I could see over the trees. But then when I'm on ground level, I say, oh, the city was beautiful, seeing all of the people and seeing the cars drive by and looking up at all of the tall buildings above me. They're both are true statements, but it's a matter of perspective. So now I want to ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself, what perspective are you seeing the current situations? What eyesights are you using to look at the views of this country? Are you looking at them based off of what someone's told you? Or are you truly looking into things as they have been done? Is what you seeing really justice? Or are people calling it justice and they want you to believe it? There's so many misinformed people because they don't do a deeper dive. And so a part of this call to action is to understand that you must now do a deeper dive. You can no longer look at the surface and say, oh, everything's good. No, dig deep. In the good words of Shanti, dig deeper, go a little harder, push a little further, keep going, keep going, and keep going. Because the more you dig, the more you see where a problem lies. The more you go, the more you begin to develop answers and to questions and solutions to problems. And that is what this call of action requires, because we can't have one or two people just doing the same job over and over and over again and expect change. No, it takes a whole team. Just like it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to keep the child as well. And we got to keep each other. We got to hold up each other. We got to encourage each other, no matter who we are, right? We need to truly encourage each other. I don't care what your difference is to me. If you have a platform that you're working towards changing the lives for the betterment of our communities, then baby, I'm there to support you. And I am going to get other people to come support you too. We have too much division. And I'm not just talking about in communities of color. I mean, generally speaking, we have too many things that are always trying to divide us than trying to unite us. I think the only time that I see America really trying to stick together was when things like 9/11 happened. When we have other people attacking us, not caring who they attack, they just attack us. Then we start seeing unification. Then we start seeing people checking on each other. And even then, there were some people who still, in the good words of some of my friends, acting stank. And we know what that is. Um, but we have to do better. We must do better. There's a need to do better. And so when you're watching this, I hope that there's something that your mind has been on telling you, oh, maybe I should get into this. Maybe I should look into this. And maybe you haven't yet. Well, I'm asking you to go do it now. Set some time apart for you to start looking into those things, or at least pulling information and facts, looking in your local communities to see if someone else is doing that same work and you can just partner with them, because there's no need to recreate the wheel when somebody else has the wheel halfway done. Just go join them and help them finish that wheel and help get the wheels rolling. Because we're, like I said, it doesn't matter who you are, how you identify. If you're doing something for the work of the betterment of our communities, we should all be able to stand together to help make our communities better. And that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight. And yes, I brought it up. This is my Black History talk. for the month of Black History because I haven't done anything, but it's not like it. Yeah, like I didn't want to just make this. I didn't want to make all month a Black History Month because we know that Black History is it's every day. It's everywhere. We are Black History people, so we have to do this thing. And I'm laughing because I have some friends talking about how white my teeth look. um, and I laugh because I'm thinking, even that has been a thing, right? Black people have not all Black people have the best dental care or have access to good dental care. So if that's your thing, hey, baby, we need some dentists, and I know quite a few. My hair is sticking up, y'all. I'm sorry. Uh, I have a few friends that are becoming dental doctors, and I love it because I'm seeing representation in a lot of places that I have seen in a long time. But yes, these are the pearly whites. And thank you all for that. But I do wish you all a good night. I pray that something I said sparked a fire in you. I hope that you begin to do things that are worth not only your time, but your community's time. Whether you have children or not, leave a legacy behind, leave a good legacy behind where people will speak your name before you get to the room or even after you leave this earth. People are still speaking your name and your glories. I know I do for several people on the shoulders that I've stood on, for those that have already passed, of course. Um, and even the ones that are still around, I'm always bringing them up. If it had not been for so and so, I would not have been here. So I thank you all for tuning in. And as always, be blessed.